this video I'm going to show you how to install a hard drive or an SSD. It's the same procedure for both, but in this case we're using an SSD. So here you can see it's already been hooked up. This is a test system, so it looks a bit messy, so don't mind that. And I've taken out the graphics card. And here on the right you have the transfer cable that's connected to the motherboard, and on the left you have the power connector. Now both these connectors are have a notch on one side, which I don't know if you can see that there, and that's supposed to align with the notch on the SSD or the hard drive, depending on what you're using. And the data transfer cable, okay, I just broke that. The transfer cable is the same. It also has that little notch on the end. So how you mount it depends on the case, so I'm not going to mount it in this case because it's just a test system. So I'm not going to show you that right now. But let's head on into Windows and see how we can detect this drive, because usually it doesn't appear by itself. So let's find out how. Okay, here we are in Windows, and now I'm first going to show you the easy way and then the geeky way. So you right click on the start button or Windows icon or whatever you want to call it, then you choose disk management and you get this prompt. Or I got this prompt. If you don't, do not worry. Choose GPT, press OK, and here we have the window, and then you can see we have 465.74 gigabyte unallocated. Right click, new simple volume, next, and usually you can just leave this unless you want to partition the drive into several partitions. Assign the letter, and here you can choose a letter, G, sure, that's fine. And here you get to choose the file systems and the label for the disk. So you can call this disk SSD, HDD, games, whatever you want to call it. We're going to choose NTFS, and here you can choose perform a quick format. If this is a new disk you're installing, you can go ahead and leave that checked. If you're installing an old disk that's been formatted several times before, I would probably uncheck it. Okay, next, and finish, and formatting. So now it's working. And there we are, finished. Okay, now I'm gonna show you the geeky way. So first we're going to delete this volume. And then we're gonna start diskpart, and there is two ways you can do this. You can type cmd and start a command prompt as admin, or you can start a Windows PowerShell as admin. Doesn't really matter, the next step is the same. Then you type diskpart to start diskpart, then you type list disk to get a list of all the disks available to the system. In this case we want disk number 3, because we can see it has an equal amount of free space as there is size available on the disk. Okay, so select disk 3, and to double check that disk 3 is selected, you can type list disk, and you can see this asterisk next to the disk that is selected. Then we're gonna clean it, convert GPT, and then we are going to create partition primary, and then we're going to list volume. Okay, so volume 7 is selected, as you can see down here, and that's a raw volume, so it doesn't have a file system yet. Then we're going to format fs equals fs means file system, so here you're gonna type in the file system that you want. We want NTFS. Then you can type label to give it a label, or name the drive, whatever you want to call it. We're just gonna call it test. Then you add a quick command to tell it that you want to quick format the drive. Then we hit enter, and now we wait. Diskpart successfully formatted the volume, but it still hasn't showed up in Windows. So now we're going to assign letter and now we're gonna assign it a letter. So in this case, we're just gonna assign it K because I want to, and then it shows up in Windows. So here you go. There we have the new drive that we just formatted. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and don't call tech support.